A young woman, Lisa, ignored the genuine and sincere love of her best friend and instead fell for her former school bully. What happened next will leave you speechless. Welcome to my amazing channel. Today, we'll dive into an exciting Nigerian movie featuring SONIA UCHE, CHIKE Daniels, and the legendary Maurice Sam. With twists, turns, and drama, you don't want to miss it. Lisa was rushing to deliver suits to a client when her reckless driving splashed water on Greg, a young man headed to a job interview. To make up for it, she gave him one of her extra suits so he wouldn't miss his opportunity. Grateful, Greg quickly changed and headed to the interview. Greg's interview was conducted by Edwin, the arrogant and demanding CEO of the company. Edwin explained that the job of a personal assistant would require Greg to be available at any time, essentially buying his time. Despite this, Greg was determined to secure the role, though he realized he had competition. Edwin complimented Greg's suit and asked about the designer. When Greg revealed it was a female, Edwin grew intrigued. Seizing the opportunity, Greg negotiated to arrange a meeting between Edwin and the designer, Lisa, in exchange for securing the job. Edwin agreed to the idea, though his arrogance was evident. Greg's loud behavior even earned him a scolding from the secretary. Later that day, Edwin returned home to find his brother there. They discussed Edwin's ex-girlfriend, Jessica. Edwin's brother encouraged him to hear Jessica out despite her infidelity and the heartbreak she caused. However, Edwin remained silent and left the conversation unresolved. The next day, Greg returned Lisa's suit and expressed gratitude for her help. He explained that his boss was interested in her designs and requested she meet with him. Lisa agreed, but asked Greg to call before visiting in the future, as her workspace was part of her home. Meanwhile, Jessica showed up unannounced at Edwin's house, hoping to reconcile. She brought him food and tried to talk things out, but Edwin harshly rejected her, declaring their relationship over. Despite her tears, he coldly threw her out. On the same morning, Lisa's friend Obinna prepared breakfast for her and complimented her before she left for her meeting with Edwin. At the meeting, Edwin stated he was willing to pay any amount for Lisa's designs. However, she declined, explaining she had no available slots to take on new work. Despite his persistence, Lisa firmly turned him down and walked out, leaving Edwin embarrassed. Frustrated, Edwin lashed out at Greg, calling him names and blaming him for the failed meeting. Though he fired Greg on the spot, he reluctantly gave him one more chance to prove himself. Greg went back to Lisa and pleaded with her to reconsider working with Edwin, explaining that his livelihood and his ailing grandmother depended on the job. Lisa sympathized, but still refused. She offered to help him find another job, but Greg declined and left, dejected. Later that day, Edwin returned home, but quickly left again to avoid Jessica. Meanwhile, Lisa relaxed at home as Obinna joined her for lunch. When he asked about her day, she admitted the meeting with Edwin didn't go well, and they enjoyed their meal together. The following day, Greg suggested a bold plan to Edwin. He proposed visiting Lisa's workspace directly to pressure her into cooperation, presenting it as a way for Edwin to assert control and retaliate for her earlier rejection. Edwin agreed, and they went to Lisa's workshop. Despite Edwin's attempts to intimidate her, Lisa firmly reiterated that she would not sew for him. Her demeanor was cold, and she openly criticized Edwin, telling him to stop acting superior and urging him to hire Greg because life wasn't all about him. Edwin left silently, visibly frustrated. After Edwin left, Obinna approached Lisa, curious about the interaction. He asked if Edwin was a customer or someone she was dating. Lisa dismissed his questions and rejected his offer to go out, showing no interest in pursuing the topic further. On his way back to the office, Edwin fumed about Lisa, calling her names and wondering why she had refused to design a suit for him. Late at night, Lisa found herself unable to believe that Edwin didn't recognize or remember her. She revisited her old school photos, smiling at the thought that Edwin was now experiencing the kind of humiliation he once inflicted on others. It felt like poetic justice. The next morning, Edwin sent Lisa a gift through a stranger. At first, she smiled upon seeing the package, but what happened next was unexpected. While Edwin was assigning tasks to Greg in his office, they heard a commotion outside. Greg went to check and was surprised to see Lisa. She sternly warned Greg to tell Edwin never to come to her house again. Despite Greg's attempts to defend his boss, Lisa stormed out. Confused by her behavior, Edwin remained adamant about pursuing her, even as Greg suggested finding another designer. Greg privately felt his boss was both passionate and arrogantly unreasonable. That same day, Lisa opened up to Uchenna about Edwin. She recounted their school days when Edwin and his friends bullied her mercilessly, calling her names and humiliating her in front of the entire class. The trauma was so severe that she begged her father to transfer her to another school. Uchenna empathized deeply as they spent the moment together. Meanwhile, Jessica continued to call Edwin, but he refused to answer. Desperate, she contacted Edwin's brother, UCHE, for help. UCHE let her into Edwin's house, where she expressed regret over choosing another man in the past. When Edwin returned, he reluctantly spoke to Jessica, but soon asked UCHE to meet him privately. Edwin told UCHE to stay out of his business with Jessica, but UCHE, being friends with her since university, insisted on helping. Edwin begrudgingly allowed Jessica to stay in the guest room for the night, but made it clear she had to leave in the morning. That same night, Edwin scrolled through Lisa's social media posts and began leaving comments. Lisa noticed and smiled, but when Uchenna brought dinner to the table, he grew irritated seeing her distracted by Edwin. He urged her to put the phone down, clearly disapproving of Edwin's intentions. The next morning at Lisa's fashion hub, Greg brought another gift from Edwin. Lisa rejected it, and Uchenna's stern expression made Greg leave quickly. Uchenna confronted Lisa, telling her to set boundaries with Edwin. He warned her that Edwin's persistence suggested he wanted more than just a suit. When Uchenna raised his voice, Lisa questioned his reaction, and he admitted he only wanted the best for her. He later apologized for being overly protective, leaving Lisa confused. That same morning, Jessica prepared breakfast at Edwin's house, but Edwin shouted at her, frustrated that she hadn't left yet. She promised to leave once she was done. During breakfast with UCHE, Jessica tried to act affectionately toward Edwin, but failed to win his attention. Edwin lost his appetite and left the table. UCHE chastised her for missing her chance to speak sincerely and left when she tried to justify herself. Later, UCHE apologized to Edwin in his room, consoling him by saying Jessica deserved worse for what she had done. He also comforted Jessica, advising her to stay calm and not appear desperate, promising to talk to Edwin on her behalf. One day, Uchenna questioned Lisa's decision not to visit his mother. Lisa revealed she had decided to make a suit for Edwin, tired of the back and forth. Uchenna disapproved but reluctantly accepted her explanation, though he remained concerned. Despite not being in a romantic relationship with Lisa, his constant involvement hinted at deeper feelings. The next day, Lisa visited Edwin's office to take his measurements. Edwin invited her for a drink, but she refused. When he asked why she was so rude, she responded with a question of her own. Why did he enjoy bullying people? She declined his advances and left after greeting Greg. Edwin, noticing Greg's smile, scolded him and sent him out of the office. That night, Edwin and Lisa chatted online, both enjoying the conversation and revealing softer sides of themselves. The following morning, Lisa began paying more attention to her appearance. She visited Edwin's house to ensure the suit fit him perfectly. When Edwin came downstairs wearing it, it was a perfect fit. Before leaving, Lisa listened to Edwin propose starting a friendship. Though hesitant at first, she eventually agreed to join him for lunch. Overjoyed, Edwin sent Greg on a trivial errand and threatened to fire him for complimenting Lisa. Later, Uchenna called Lisa to check on her. She told him about Edwin's dinner invitation, which she had accepted. Uchenna decided to return earlier than planned, but Lisa brushed off his concerns and went to dinner with Edwin. At the restaurant, Edwin complimented Lisa and used the opportunity to discuss his arrogance, which Lisa found unsurprising. When he asked about Uchenna, Lisa explained their close friendship since university. Edwin laughed and mocked the relationship, which angered Lisa. She tried to leave, but Edwin apologized, hinting that he wanted to know her better. Unmoved, Lisa walked out, suspecting his intentions were far from genuine. Edwin arrived home visibly frustrated and vented his anger on his brother, UCHE. When Edwin shared his troubles about Lisa and how she was getting on his nerves, UCHE couldn't help but laugh. He teased Edwin, amused that a woman had managed to humble him. Annoyed, Edwin retreated to his room. Honestly, people like Edwin probably deserve such treatment, but why did Lisa agree to his proposal in the first place? Perhaps there's more to this story. We'll find out soon. That evening, Obinna pressured Lisa about her outing with Edwin. She assured him that everything would be fine, but Obinna insisted on knowing the full story. He warned her that Edwin might hurt her, leaving Lisa overwhelmed. She retreated to her room for space, contemplating whether Obinna was right. However, her biggest fear was Edwin still seeing her as the ugly girl she used to be in school. What advice would you give Lisa in this situation? Feel free to leave a comment. Later that day, Edwin tried to reach out to Lisa, but she ignored his calls. Obinna was pleased and used the opportunity to bond with her, and they enjoyed their time together. In the early hours of the morning, Edwin decided to visit Lisa, only to find Obinna already with her. Greg, frustrated by Edwin's persistence, offered to intervene and reached out to Lisa on his behalf. When Lisa came out to see Edwin, she grew impatient with his inability to get to the point and walked away. Furious, Edwin left. Obinna suggested that Edwin was acting as if he were her boyfriend. Lisa dismissed the notion, claiming Edwin wasn't her type, and went to her room in frustration. Later that day, Greg brought Lisa another gift from Edwin. Although Lisa initially refused it, she eventually accepted and asked her secretary to keep it for her. Greg remarked that he could tell she liked Edwin before leaving. That night, Lisa joined Edwin for dinner again. During the meal, Edwin expressed his feelings for her and promised to back off if she didn't want him. He emphasized his direct nature, leaving Lisa speechless. Just as they were enjoying the moment, Obinna called Lisa about an urgent matter, and she left abruptly. When Lisa arrived, Obinna was shocked to learn she had been with Edwin again. He told her about a minor accident that had almost happened to him, but Edwin used every opportunity to irritate him. Lisa intervened to calm them down and took Obinna aside to address his behavior. She explained that whatever happened between her and Edwin in the past was over, and she no longer harbored hatred. She asked Obinna if he was okay, which he confirmed before she left to check on Edwin. Edwin bluntly asked Lisa if she would consider dating him. She said she'd think about it, and Edwin kissed her cheek, clearly showing off as Obinna watched. Then Edwin left. The next morning, while Lisa was organizing her belongings, Obinna entered the room attempting to kiss her. She stopped him, and he confessed his love for her. He compared himself to Edwin, but Lisa was confused by his sudden outburst. Obinna was upset that Edwin had kissed her, and Lisa admitted that she had always loved Edwin, even in school. Pretending to hate him had been her way of coping. She explained that Edwin had changed and was now trying to win her over, whereas Obinna was more like a brother to her. She pleaded with him not to ruin their friendship, but Obinna, unable to suppress his jealousy, decided to love her from a distance and left. Lisa felt terrible about the situation. Later that day, Lisa visited Edwin to have a private conversation. She brought along an old secondary school photo and showed it to him. To her surprise, Edwin still didn't recognize her. She began recounting the hurtful nicknames he used to call her, and it all came rushing back to him. Overwhelmed, Edwin apologized sincerely for the pain he had caused her. With heartfelt words, he expressed his love for her. Shocked yet moved, Lisa kissed him. They shared a tender moment and officially became a couple. Greg, thrilled by the development, couldn't hide his excitement as life moved forward for all of them. This story teaches us several important lessons. What goes around comes around, so treat others with kindness. If you have feelings for someone, don't hesitate to express them. What's in front of you may also be desired by many others. The past is in the past, and those who want to change can do so. However, those unwilling to change will remain the same. Lastly, avoid bullying others, as it can destroy their self-esteem. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to this amazing channel for more captivating, educational, and entertaining Nigerian movies. See you next time.